This email was dated to my congregation January 9th, 2015. We at Temple Solel hope the Shabbat message finds all of you well. As many Jews worldwide welcome the Sabbath bride tonight, our Parisian Jewish family will not stand, face the west, and see her beauty in their synagogues. In light of the horrid terrorist attacks on Wednesday at Charlie Hebdo and the kosher deli in eastern Paris, Parisian rabbis, Jewish leaders instructed French Jews to stay home tonight, the most sacred time for Jews. Additionally, police ordered Jewish store owners in the Marais neighborhood to close as a precaution. Parisian Jews are not capitulating to terrorism. Parisian Jews are not rejecting the beauty of Shabbat. They're not violating Jewish law. They're embodying the essence of Judaism, which teaches us that human life is essential. Our sacred literature obligates Jews to save life when in jeopardy, pikuach nefesh. Moreover, Jewish law allows us to suspend Shabbat when a community or an individual face immediate danger. Our Parisian Jewish family will honor this law on Shabbat. As I conclude in this message, they will not enter their sacred houses of worship. We proud American Jews and Temple Solel members, we stand, we face the West and welcome the Sabbath bride. We will pray for our Parisian Jews and all Parisians who experience hatred and evil of terrorism. Tonight, our voices will sing loudly and proudly for these Jews and all victims of terror. Lo tamad al dam recha. We do not stand idly by when a person's in danger. And tonight, we are not standing idly by in solidarity and hope for the day when the world will be one long Shabbat. This email was dated to this congregation December 2019. Shabbat Shalom. The Muncie Jewish community was viciously attacked over the weekend, adding to the epidemic of violent anti-Semitic attacks, especially in New York, Brooklyn, and New Jersey. Temple Emanu-El prays for the healing of all those who have been injured. We also pray for the safety of the Jewish people, whether in the tri-state area, the United States, England, France, Israel, or wherever Jews find themselves. When any Jew is targeted, whether one is Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, or the Hasidim, every Jew shares the pain. Antisemitism does not care about levels of observance. It seeks only to eradicate any Jew. Tonight is the last day of Hanukkah, a holiday that celebrates our resilience, our courage, and the strength of the Jewish people. Let us remember the tenets of this holiday. We must protect each other. We must advocate for each other, regardless of movement. Right now, more than ever, we must be proud of our Judaism. Our light will always shine, even during the darkest hours. I assume many people in this congregation was expecting some type of email regarding Texas this past week. When I stand here on this bema, 140 years of generational history, I think I'm obligated to speak the truth. As I look back at these words, and this is my opinion, you're entitled to disagree, I call this word salad. I just look back and I feel that they are empty words. I felt that each time I write such a thing like this, I get my yotzi, and that's a halachic understanding. You get your good mitzvah check that I did something. For this time, I couldn't find a way to do it. And I know that other Jewish nonprofits and synagogues, they all notified their congregations to messages like these. But here's something that bothered me. so many of these Jewish nonprofits and so many of these synagogues, they have been absolutely silent regarding ongoing attacks against Jewish people, against the onslaught of college students. And for once, this is something that I did not want to emulate. When I became your rabbi, when I was elected to be your rabbi, December of 2018, I think at that moment and during my installation, I have an obligation to all of you. What I'm going to say tonight may be difficult to hear. I won't be surprised if the emails come, the text will come, the phone will ring, but I'm speaking from the heart. As I said during my Yom Kippur sermon, I want my words to be on the record. They are mine. And above all, what I say tonight, I will own it. I will not apologize, and I will not try to rationalize them. I understand there could be consequences, but these are the consequences I will take on. It is what it is. The first thing that I want to say, it is not an act of courage to celebrate Shabbat at shul. And I've seen all these recent articles. I strongly disagree. Reality matters. Since the destruction of the first temple in 586 BCE and the second in 70 CE, we've been hated for nearly 2,500 years. Even with such even with the 80th anniversary of the Manasseh Conference, and this is the conference when they all got together to discuss the final solution, we are still standing here. The core premise of the state of Israel is that we are no longer sheep. We will fight and we will defend. And we have to understand the realization that we need to protect Jewish life at all cost. It's not an act of bravery of coming to Shabbat services. Those are men and women in uniform, here in America or in the IDF. It's about being smart. So Saturday, when all of this was going down, I contacted my resource at the city. I ensured that Temple Bethel and our temple had additional security. And the greatest outreaching rabbi I've ever seen in my life, my friend, my co-redheaded rabbi on Overton Road, Rabbi Levi Weinbaum, his work with the sheriff's department has been absolutely extraordinary. After Shabbos ended, the sheriff called up and said, "We will do anything to protect Jewish life here in Jefferson County." And here's my second point. This is what Charlie experienced last Saturday. An Islamic terrorist in Texas targeted a synagogue because he hated Jews and he wanted Afa Siddiqui, which her name is Lady Al-Qaeda, a person who wanted to murder thousands in New York using a dirty bomb to kill millions, free from prison. She's a radical leftist celebrity, a battling cry for the Council of American Islamic Relations and Linda Sarsour. This is a person who wanted Jews off of her trial as jury members, and she also believed that it was the Jews that orchestrated her trial. Who wants her back? ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Pakistan. They all want her back. So for the nation's top police force and those who hold the highest office, for their first reaction to suggest that this wasn't a Jew hatred is mind-boggling to me. This terrorist did not target this synagogue because there were Jews there praying on Shabbat is mind-boggling to me. Here's my third point. Since last week, I've only heard from two interfaith friends. Once again, like May and June, absolutely nothing from across the street. absolutely nothing from the majority of our interfaith leaders, absolutely nothing from the mayor's office, absolutely nothing from his interfaith team, absolutely nothing from the Department of Social Justice and Equity. And for those who are wondering about social justice and equity positions, there was a recent report that indicated, what did this position or groups target the most? Israel. And this has been the common trend of many of my colleagues. We are allowed to be angry about this. Their silence on this one, once again, of the ongoing Jewish hate is noted. The New York Times buried the story. In our humble opinion with my colleagues, it didn't find the Pittsburgh or Poway narrative. A white supremacist did not enter the synagogue this time. In New York City alone, there have been non-stop attacks against the Jewish community. They're not by white supremacists. This actually shocked the former mayor. This wasn't newsworthy. Just like Yosef Newman of blessed memory, who was murdered in Muncie, Sarah Halimi, who was murdered in Paris, in Jersey City in 2019, when the Black Israelite congregation murdered 4 Jews and tried to kill hundreds of Jewish school children. Again, nothing was picked up by the media. Why do we think? 500% uptick in Jew-hating attacks in May and June alone. These past couple of years have been absolutely horrible. From white supremacy to all forms of Jew-hating beliefs from radical Islam. In Pittsburgh, I can't speak what happened here, only what we did in San Diego. These rallies became a rally for all forms of hate. They completely buried who suffered the most. That was the Jewish people. The same thing happened in Poway. I went to Poway High School for that rally, and once again, this attack was against the Jewish people, and it became a cry, a fight against all forms of hate, once again, totally alienated why we were here. And another example, I have no shame saying this, when Ilhan Omar once again made her vile Jew hatred comments, Congress was going to censor her for her Jew hatred, but they decided to protect her and lump all forms of hate together. It doesn't fit the story, and you know what story I'm talking about. As I think about what happened, so many Jews have capitulated to be part of secular causes. We see this especially in the college campus. Thinking that they step back from Israel especially, or their Jewish identity, they will be accepted. It doesn't matter at the end. Rabbi Charlie, myself, my friends on Overton Road, we all have different types of Jewish beliefs. They all hate us. It applies like it did during the Wanasi Conference as it does today. And we still haven't learned. And I'm going to say this because I can. The Reform movement especially doesn't get it. We have so many members of our congregation, so many members of Judaism in North America. We have congregants who are spiritually hurting. They are suffering financially, depression, anxiety. People are sick, people in the hospital. And here's what the movement is just fixated on. Intersectionality, allyship, and quote unquote, getting in our headspace. We're facing a battle against white supremacism, but on the other battle from the alt-left, which is the dominant voice, look at the mainstream media. Jews are no longer the victims. And here is this ideological logic. If we are or were successful, it came at the oppression of others. My smicha in my office, it's not about John Rawls' social justice, the redistribution of wealth. It's not about intersectionality or equity. or compromising hundreds of years of alienating Am Yisrael for the sake to fit in on mostly disingenuous causes. It's about to love God. It's about to love Torah. It's about to love Israel. I believe we need a reset. And I'm not surprised we haven't had this. And I'm not surprised why we haven't heard from our interfaith partners. We don't need their approval. So many Jews in so many different centuries, as much as we were oppressed, we did everything we could to be a light unto the nations. And I like to say that Israel is the best example on this because it is one of the most progressive countries in the world. Here's my other point. I think it's time for us to do our due diligence. I don't care what political party, I don't care what nonprofit. If anyone winks, flirts, or nods with any entity that is a Jew hater, we must step back and fight against it. This past week, I realized that I am so tired of Jewish movements and labels. We've talked too much about too many social issues that doesn't maintain Jewish life. And right now, we continue to suffer with our affiliation rates. The path we're going on, especially in the national movement, isn't working. It's ultra-crepidarianism. We're speaking out of our skill set. Judaism is about love of Torah. It's about comfort. It's about being there for those who are facing an illness or those who experienced a death. I know by definition I am a Reform rabbi, but I am committed to all Jews. We may disagree on matters of Jewish law, but it's all about Am Yisrael. It's Torah. It's a celebration of being Jewish. As I said during the high holidays, this Jewish community here in Birmingham has the potential to unify. The old days are over. This city can absolutely be an example of Jewish coexistence, celebrating our love of Torah, celebrating our love of learning from Torah, celebrating at the Shabbos dinner, making sure our kids go to Jewish summer camp, going to Israel, adult learning, and Jewish youth group. At the end of Kabbalat Shabbat, we sang Boi Kala as we welcomed the Sabbath bride. My rabbinate is about welcoming the Jewish people regardless of levels of halakha. For Judaism to be successful and for Jews to be proud, it's time to get back to prayer. It's time to commit ourselves to our Torah, the blueprint for our life. It's time to get back to mitzvot and experiencing with the richness of our tradition for all Jews and our true partners. The ball is in our corner. I know that some want me to be some type of activist. I am an activist. I'm activist for the Jewish people. These are my words, and as long as I'm your rabbi, I will fight for the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom. For those who are able, we rise together, Aleinu 586.